guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and I appreciate being here. Today we're going to talk about my budget from December of 2024. Obviously I hadn't been posting on YouTube when I created this budget, but I figured it's still a good practice to go through my figures from last month, see how much I spent, see if I was on my targets or not. Okay, so let's jump into the spreadsheet. So you can see my first line item there is my rent. I pay 3,250 dirhams a month. The structure that we have set up for our apartment here is a rent check every 4 months. So every month I put a determined amount into a savings account just to make sure that I have it set aside for when the check is actually due. So far I have 3 months saved up. That is 9,750. That is the running total that I have there. The next line item is my DEWA. DEWA is electricity and water. I budgeted 250 dirhams. I spent 244 dirhams and 86 cents. That is split between me and my partner. That is pretty standard for us. That was, as you can see, pretty much exactly what I expected. And that's about $66.67. The next line item is our internet. I budgeted 139 dirhams and 50 cents. It actually was 146 dirhams and 50 cents. There is a slight difference. There's a slight difference there. This is an introductory rate and I wasn't really sure if there was going to be anything additional from what the contract said. It turns out there was a little bit, so I guess this will be the correct number moving forward. Gas for our home is usually, it's a random number like 99.38 or something like that, so I estimated to 50 dirhams and it was actually 49 dirhams and 69 fils. Again, my rent, my DEWA, my internet, gas, and the next one here, the chiller. These are all expenses that my partner and I split. We live together here in Dubai, so this is my portion of these bills. And the next one is chiller. I estimated 170 dirhams. That was based off of last year's consumption. It was a little bit more. It was 188 dirhams and 25 fils, which is, to be fair, only about 50 bucks. We aren't using it much, but there's always a minimum amount that needs to be paid just for the services that they provide. After that, I have my car payment. My car is financed for 2 years. I put about 40% down on my car and I pay 982 dirhams every month, which is about $267. I'm not really targeting this. That's why it's not, I don't have it separated out into a debt, even though technically it is a debt. I'm just paying the minimum monthly agreed upon payments every single month. Next, I have car gas. I estimated 300 dirhams. Usually I fill up 3 times a month. Last month I only had to fill up twice, and gas was a little bit cheaper than I expected it to be, so it was only 164 dirhams and 10 fils. After that, I have car tolls and extras. So this is Salik, which is the toll system here in Dubai. This is any parking that I have to pay for, which there's plenty of paid parking around. This is any additional fees that are related to the car that are outside of gas. I estimated 250 dirhams. It ended up being 365 dirhams, so it was significantly more. This is because they put an extra Salik toll gate in my route from home to work, so things did end up being a little bit more, and I think I'm gonna have to up that continuously moving forward as a new standard. Next, I have grocery and toiletry. I estimated 1,100 and I spent 1,277. This, to be honest, is usually about where I am, 1,100 to 1,200. Because this is in dirhams, it looks like it's a big difference, but it's not really. 100 dirhams is like $25–30. So being over by that much looks like a lot, but really doesn't impact that much. After that, I have Jasper. He's our little fur baby. I estimated 120. I ended up spending 171. We just needed extra stuff this month. It ended up so that I had to order stuff at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. Those months just happen. And that is it for my fixed expenses. Now scrolling down, we enter my fun expenses. Restaurants, I had budgeted 300 dirhams. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably had budgeted more than this. I have a tendency to go in and move things around. So if I realize I don't have any plans to go out to a restaurant, I haven't really been eating out much, I might reduce that and then up something else that I have been using a lot of. For instance, I think this month I upped my personal miscellaneous spending. So what I have here is restaurants at 300. I ended up spending 206, which is about $56. I don't think this was any like big meals. I think this might have been several coffees, maybe a quick lunch here and there, but yeah, we didn't have any big restaurant nights or anything like that this month. Delivery, 400 dirhams I had budgeted. Again, this is a pretty normal amount for me. I ended up doing 419 dirhams and 67 fills. This is an area I do want to reduce. I talked about this in my January budget. I'm doing a low spend, particularly in the food areas. So this should be a lot lower in January. Next is my personal and miscellaneous. This is my personal spending plus any other needs or wants that come up. I had budgeted 1,000 dirhams. Again, I think that's a little bit higher than I had actually originally budgeted, but I spent 1,248 dirhams. So I actually spent quite a bit more. To be honest, don't even remember what that is. I have a list of it somewhere, but December just tends to be an expensive month for personal spending. To be honest, I'm really kind of cool with that. It fluctuates throughout the year. Again, this is going to be something that's lower in January. So 1,200 dirhams, I'm not angry. Netflix, I budgeted 45 dirhams. It was 45 dirhams and 94 fils, so almost exact. I've mentioned this before, but I actually pay for Australian Netflix with my UAE card. So because of the conversion, it does fluctuate a little bit. So it's always around 45 dirhams, but it's always a little bit more or a little bit less. Next, I have house stuff. This is like home improvement stuff. This isn't like toiletries. This isn't cleaning products. This is like curtains or candles, or I bought, I think what this is a peel and stick wallpaper refill. I bought some previously. I didn't buy enough, obviously, as it always happens. So I had to buy some extra, so I think that's what that is. I have travel in here because I thought I would buy my Ireland tickets. Obviously, the money that I had budgeted, I moved around to allocate to something else. I think I moved that into savings. So it does say zero. I spent zero. We didn't buy those tickets in December. Then I have Christmas. I plan to spend 1,700 dirhams. I spent 1,730 and 20 fils, which is a little bit shy of $500. This includes my partner, Secret Santa at work. This includes something I got for my cat as well that I let my partner open. We all have our own traditions, right? Next, I have miscellaneous. This is the line item that I use for like true miscellaneous things that aren't personal or that aren't house related. This is also the line item that I use to actually make a zero-based budget. So it's always a little bit of a funny number. This month was 56 dirhams and 75 fils. I didn't actually have anything in this category, so nothing there actually. Next is my emergency fund. This is all of my future and savings accounts. I didn't add anything to my emergency fund. I had a goal in the beginning of 2024 to increase it by 10,000 dirhams, which I completed earlier in the year, so it's now sitting at 60,000 dirhams. That is my running total, and I added nothing to it in December. Next, I have a line item that I call 2 US accounts. I'll get into that in a second, but I basically am just tracking the amount in dirhams that I'm sending over to the States. So I sent 3,186 dirhams and 75 fils. That's what I had budgeted, and what I actually sent was 3,462 dirhams and 38 fils. I felt like I had a little bit of extra wiggle room here, so I added a little bit more than I had planned to send. When you convert it, it is $942.67, but what I receive is $925. Obviously, there are fees for international transfers, so that is including all of the fees, and the $925 is what I receive in my account in the States. Next, I have my house fund. So I am saving to hopefully buy a property one day. I had budgeted 2,000 dirhams in that. I think that is where the travel that I had previously had budgeted, I reallocated that to the house fund. What I ended up putting in there was 1,998, so pretty close. And the running total there I have is just over 10,000 dirhams. After that is the car fund. I actually did not plan to put anything there. This is a new sinking fund that I opened in December. I put 200 dirhams in there, and that 13 fils that you see there is just interest that accrued in the last couple of days of the month. So the income that I had planned for, you can see up here at the top, was 15,400 dirhams. What I actually got was 15,800 dirhams. And I'm just realizing now as well, actually that doesn't include my interest, which I do usually include in my income. Because I allocate it to my savings, I track it down here as well. So these numbers do include the interest that I have saved. I usually like to put it in my income, but I forgot to do that. It was somewhere around 300 dirhams-ish. So it says that I am 400 dirhams over budget, but with that 300 dirhams from interest, I'm actually only about 100 dirhams over budget. I have a pretty good buffer in my checking account, so being over budget by a little bit doesn't really make that much of an impact, and there's always money in that account in case there is. Next is the chart that I use to track what I am sending to my US accounts. So the itemized things here that I have are my Roth IRA. I put $450 into that. That was my final contribution for 2024. I have maxed that out. That was the first time that I was able to do that in the calendar year. That was really exciting. I do have a spot for like dirhams per month, but because it's already converted, I kind of just left that. And then I also have year-to-date contributions that I'm not really using anymore anyways because I track that elsewhere. Next, I have my brokerage and or Robinhood account. I've had $100 in there this month. Because I could only put $450 left in my Roth, I figured that extra money that I sent, I can send over to my brokerage account. BOA checking is my Bank of America checking. This is the account that I actually transfer to, so this is kind of like the gateway account that I received the funds in there, and then I divvy it out to wherever I need to send it. I left $35.28 in there this month. I do try and keep a little bit extra in there every month because I do pay for my taxes out of that account. So if I can just put a little bit in every month, it adds up and then it's not as much of a burden at the end of the year. The next one is my US credit card. I do have a US credit card that I use every once in a while just to make sure that I'm still building my credit up back at home. I spent $24.72. I think that was a tank of gas, if I'm remembering properly. I paid that off. And then the last one I have here is my vacation fund. I do have a couple of vacations that are coming up this year that I want to make sure I'm putting money aside for ahead of time. So in December, I put $300 into that account. So in total, you'll see that I spent $910, something that you don't see on here. The reason why it doesn't match the amount that I actually transferred is because there's a $15 wire fee. I know I expect it every month. I know that that will happen. Yes, bank fees are terrible, but that's part of living abroad and sending money home. If anyone has any better ideas, if anyone has any cheaper ways of sending money, I'm all ears. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. But for now, this is what's working for me. This is the cheapest way that I've found so far. And then down here, I just have some notes that I refer to throughout the month. So at the start of the month, I was thinking about buying flights for Ireland. I moved that to January. Christmas shopping, that's my partner, my cat, and my Secret Santa. End of the month, of course, I had Christmas. And looking forward to next month, we're talking about new goals and sinking funds. And as I already mentioned, the Ireland flights. We still haven't bought that. It's the beginning of January. We still haven't bought it, but hopefully it's happening this month. I have another tab over here just for additional income. Things that I expect are my interest for my high yield savings accounts. I also have the opportunity for a monthly bonus in my job, which is why my income was a little bit higher than I anticipated this month. And I usually know if it's coming the month before, but I don't always know how much it's going to be. So I budget on the low end and hope for the best. And that's it. That's everything from December of 2024. This is mostly a standard month, obviously with Christmas thrown in there. There's a bit more extra spending. Usually I like to have a little bit more money set aside for savings, but yeah, that's where we're at the end of December. Thank you for taking the time to go through this with me. I really appreciate you watching. I am looking forward to some feedback, connecting with people that are in a similar situation. If you are living abroad and sending money home, I would love to hear how you're sending it. What are the fees associated with that style of sending? And what are you saving for? Again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Today we're gonna have a look at my budget from 2020. Today we're gonna have a look at my budget. Today we're gonna have a look at my budget from December of 2024. So let's jump into the spreadsheet. That was all really bad.